Why do we need private health insurance in Spain? Let me explain. The reason number one is because you probably don't have access to the public healthcare system. Yes, Spain has a public healthcare system, but very likely you don't have access to the public healthcare system because only those who pay social security, who are self-employed or working for somebody have access to the public healthcare system for obvious reasons. If you have never paid into the government funds, you can't benefit from it. So that's the first reason. Reason number two, it's bloody bureaucratic. It's bureaucratic. It's a super long journey for everything you need to do. I mean, first, just to give an idea, you have to visit a family doctor, a GP, get the appointment of a family doctor first. And then if you want to see a specialist, they will have to set it up for you. And you have to wait until you receive the phone call to have that appointment with a specialist. And depends if your doctor gauges that to be urgent, life-threatening or not, you're going to get the appointment in weeks, in months, or in a year. Does this make sense? Because it doesn't depend on you. It depends on what the doctor thinks, how urgent or non-urgent that issue is. One needs to know that. I mean, just to give an example of my life now recently I go a lot to the gym, midlife crisis, big story, and I tore myself a muscle. So I went with my private health insurance card to see a traumatologist right up front. I didn't need to go through a general practitioner, family doctor first. I saw a traumatologist. I got my scan very quickly, and then I was prescribed a rehabilitation. That would have been unheard of in the public system. Unheard of. What do I want to say with that is nobody criticizes the public healthcare system. And it's good that in Spain, we do have the public healthcare system. But there's a huge difference between perfectly healthy and being on the edge of passing away. When somebody's perfectly healthy, nobody cares. If somebody's in this extreme, the public healthcare system will look after you and everyone beautifully. So nobody ever would criticize the public healthcare system. Okay? Because if there's a life-threatening circumstances, like an open heart operation, like anything, you had a car accident, you're going to be beautifully looked after by the public healthcare system. Everyone. Problem is in the middle ground, when it's not life-threatening. It's a pain in the butt, to put it mildly, because it is bloody bureaucratic. One needs to know it is public. Second reason. Now let's talk about the third reason, the bloody long waiting lists. Certain scans, people tend to wait for months to get them. If they are not life-threatening, wow, you might be waiting for a year, 1.5 years, because you don't have access to the specialist directly. One needs to know that. It's a completely different ball game when you are with a private health insurance company. Completely different. For example, you will have in the private, you will have a book, I call it the Bible, because it is the Bible, of the hospitals and doctors you can go to. Okay? Which means is, all over Spain, it doesn't matter whether Madrid, in Malaga, Mallorca, Menorca, it doesn't matter. I can send you the hospital booklet for your local area. And you have access to it directly to the specialist everywhere. You can just call and set up the appointment. You will have a card and just go and set up the appointment without having to go to a general practitioner first. It's a huge thing. So the number 4 is the flexibility. You can choose the doctor. You can choose the doctor, nobody else. And if you don't like one doctor, you just go to a different one. If you know could I have the follow-up appointment maybe on Tuesday, Friday? And the receptionist is going to say, well, but Mr. Fernandez can't do it. And they say, don't worry. And you just set up another appointment with another gentleman. Doesn't make sense. So it's super flexible. Flexibility to an extreme. And plus the big hospitals are open 24 hours. So you can go on a Friday night, Saturday night. It doesn't matter. It keeps the complete flexibility. Reason number 5, different languages. I mean, I talk with expats every single day. And everyone comes from different parts of the world to Spain because people love Spain. So in the public, what are you going to do with regards to the languages if you don't speak Spanish? What are you going to do? On the private hospitals, if you choose the big hospitals, you might even have access to a translator because those big hospitals, they offer quite often, not all of them, translation services. That is unheard of, by the way. The public don't even need to ask. So it's a huge thing. Another reason, dental coverage. That is huge also. Okay, you will have another booklet, another Bible, how I call it, for dental coverages. All over Spain, dental coverage. Dentist, by the way, you do pay. But with the dentist from the network, there's a discount applied to it. Hence, you can never get ripped off, ever. It's physically impossible. So that is good to know. And you even have the free teeth cleaning, free consultation, etc. So choose a doctor from the private network, always. It's a huge advantage. The main reason why people need a private health insurance is obviously to go through the visa and the residency process. Without this, you would never get the visa, never get the NIE, never get the residency. Okay? That's the first thing. And it needs to cover everything. It needs to be a fully comprehensive cover that covers primary emergency medicine, medical specialties, diagnosis means, hospitalization, special treatments, preventive medicine, obstetric and newborn care, psychological coverage, even homeopathy and acupuncture, even foreign assistance from abroad, everything. This is super, super important. Otherwise, it will never go through the legal process. Plus, sin copago, how they're saying it in Spanish, without any co-payments. Otherwise, it will never go through the legal process. Okay, so whenever you set up your private health insurance policy, when you talk to the person who is helping you with that, make sure they know exactly what you're talking about. Because if you get this policy that is cheaper but has co-payments associated with the policy, it will never go through and you will have wasted your money completely. I don't want to scare people off, but it's the truth. I have people coming to me from different providers constantly that spent a fortune, even global policy that didn't work out when they go through the legal process. So one needs to know that. To summarize, is it worse to get the private health policy? It definitely is. You need this for the legal process on one side, but it's also much faster, much more efficient with no wait periods. So it's a completely different world, to be honest. So I can't think of anyone who is in Spain as an expat who has the resources for it, who wouldn't have one or wouldn't want one. Does this make sense? So without ever criticizing the public healthcare system, because luckily we do have the public healthcare system, but it's just simply not enough. And that's why also people only think about expats, why all the Spaniards who can afford have private health insurance policy. Nobody in Spain puts a pistol to somebody in Spain as a Spaniard, puts a pistol to their head and say, you must have a private health policy. Nobody. They don't even need this for legal reasons because they don't want to be at the mercy of the public healthcare system. Like myself, I don't need now a private health policy, but I couldn't think not having one. It's just nice to be able to go and see a doctor whenever I want, to have to do so many things to get just to see a specialist. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, please leave me the questions below and I will answer them with the next video. Thanks a million.